So we come down now to the next lecture, and I believe this is one of the most difficult things for people to actually wrap their head around. It is the issue of forgiveness, because a lot of people believe, obviously, that they've got justifiable reason to be upset with somebody because terrible things have happened or injustices have occurred. But it's an important subject to discuss, an important subject to be aware of, and for you to really wrap your head around if you're carrying any hurts, and most of us are at some level. But I would urge you to please make sure you download the information I have on this section, including some of the statements that have been made around it, the sayings that are there, the quotes that are there as well. Forgiveness means to let go. It's certainly not about a perpetrator deserving to be forgiven or released from guilt. That is false promise in a sense. It leaves one trapped in turmoil, it leaves one with bitterness, with anger, with overwhelm sometimes. But on the other hand, the forgiveness gives you your future back. The body does not thrive in chaos, but in harmony, self-esteem, in endurance, in integrity, in vibrancy, in vitality. And so if we're holding on to that, we're losing our spirit. If we're holding on to anger and hurt, and it's like toxic waste, it's like poison, it's like acid rain to the spirit. So forgive means to let go. It gives you the gift of actually having a grudge-free life, if I can put it that way. It is a voluntary cancellation of a debt. It's the extension of grace. It's moving from victim to victor. Someone once said that the best revenge is to lead a healthy life. I have the acronym AGE, AGE, written on the back of the board here. It stands for abuse imprisons, grief releases, expression heals. So what can happen through releasing this, through letting go, through forgiving, it helps us create a new definition of ourself. Now, there are many ways to work on releasing. One is, first of all, to recognize you're holding on to something that's not working for you, but then how do we get rid of it? Well, there's a number of ways, but I recommend things like emotional freedom technique. I've talked before about Gary Craig, about Nick Ortner. You can check that on my site. It's all detailed there, and again, it's free, but it's on websites. It's easy to do, and it works. Dr. Joseph McCollough certainly recommends it for a whole host of things. But as I mentioned, the best revenge is to lead a healthy life. So forgiveness leads to fidelity of ourselves. It helps us reclaim our physical, our mental, our spiritual integrity. And I urge you not to let your suffering define you, because we can be stubborn victims. And I would urge you to determine that you want to become tenacious survivors. I personally believe in the Huna philosophy. And the Huna philosophy is made up of 7 basic tenets. And those tenets should be things that we look forward to and look for in terms of how we operate in our day-to-day lives. I'll read those tenets to you, the 7 principles. The world is what you think it is. There are no limits. Energy flows where attention goes. Now is the moment of power. To love is to be happy with. Love is the only ethic needed in Huna. All power comes from within, and effectiveness is a measure of truth. In other words, all that matters is what works. Now, the Huna religion, we talk about the kahunas, the sages, the shamans, etc., but they also have an incredible system of forgiveness. It's called Ho'oponopono. And if you want to read more about that, there's a book called Zero Limits. Dr. Joe Vitale wrote that about Dr. Hulen Ihaliakala in Hawaii, what he did there in a prison, and it uses 4 basic statements. I won't go into great detail, but I would urge you to check that out, because it's designed to clean and clear and help you arrive at a 0 point.